This podcast discusses paranormal activity and other topics some might find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised.
Is it a chill or a ghostly breeze? A knock, a tap, what do you believe? Ghosts, gossip, gather around where the lost and the haunted are found. Ghosts, gossip, don't make a sound. Truth or tales, we'll dig it out.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ghost Gossip. Today, this is my first recording of 2026, and we have such a special guest today. You might recognize him from Netflix, from True Hauntings, one of the only haunted shows I've ever watched, especially on Netflix, and I was blown away. Welcome. His name is Chris, and I'm going to allow you to say your last name so I don't mess it up.
Smith.
Smith, I love it. Chris Smith, welcome.
DiCesare.
DiCesare. So thank you so much for coming on. I am
Likewise.
so honored to have you.
Thank you much.
So can you tell us just, basic little bit about you, and then we're going to get into your experience.
Sure. Yeah. It's interesting how life takes some pretty severe turns. As a young child, I didn't like anything to do with scary shows or ghosts or demons, things like that. I think that there's a show called The Munsters, and
Yeah.
that was too scary for me. So I put the ballet on and stuff. So it's odd that here I am now, all these years later, talking about a situation that took place at my college dorm in '85 that really evokes terms like, extreme haunting and apparition and things like that. This is my 29th year of teaching, one more to go, and I can retire and punch my ticket to retirement. I teach special
Congratulations.
education, high school, usually history classes.
Wow.
I've been married for 36 and a half years. I've got two children, a granddaughter. I live in New York State. It's cold here right now, about 18 degrees out. It's a little chilly. But,
Wow.
and then I found myself this past October on Netflix. So go surprise there.
It's crazy. That is incredible. I am very similar. I hated scary things, and
Right.
now I have a paranormal podcast.
Right. See?
I like when I was watching one of my friends like TikToks, and they were like things to watch this Halloween. And number one was True Hauntings. And she's like, the first 3 episodes are about a college dorm haunting. And I saw it and I was like, that looks too scary for me. I don't know, but got my emotional support human. I got my husband. And I was
Right.
like, will you watch this with me? Because this looks really cool. And so we sat there and I put the couch cushion in front of me, like to
Right.
guard me.
That's your
Like,
barrier. Yes.
and I would be like, but it was so good. And how did Netflix learn about your story?
It's interesting. James Wan, he's the individual who's actually produced the show. He did things like The Conjuring and Mortal Kombat and things like that. He wanted to change up the scenario. Usually, it's over the top with blood flying and bat wings and volcanoes, and he felt that paranormal genre got so out of hand that it became a joke, and that he was convinced that things could be real, that there are cases out there that people experienced. And he asked Netflix to hire on a production company to see if they can find the 3 or 4 scariest, most provable hauntings. And that production company was based in All 3 Media, Raw Productions. They did Race for the White House. They did the Meghan and Harry biopic, Vatican Girl, things like that. So they're reached out to, and their job was to find the hauntings. And they spent about 6 to 8 months researching what was out there available on the internet and other shows and books and such. And they decided that my experience with my friends was one of the most provable. And so in February of 2021, they reached out to me via email. And of course, I thought it was spam. I deleted the email, put it in my trash. And then I got a second email, and I deleted that one because it's probably trash. Then I was talking to John Zaffis, who had been in the Haunted Collector series back about 15 years ago on Sci-Fi, and respectable person. And he said, "No, they're real. It's a good company. You should get back to them." Oh, okay. So I found my trash bin, and I went in there, and I contacted them back, and that's what happened. We began having interviews, talking back and forth, and they sent the prospectus back to Netflix, and their response was one word: dusty. So I thought, dusty, what does that mean? A bunch of old white guys. It's not it's
Yeah.
40 years ago. No one cares. So I expressed my displeasure. I said, "Listen, once they hear what I have to say and my friends have to say and see the photographs, the cassette tapes, all these things, they'll change their mind because nothing like it." And sure enough, once they got some of the initial interviews done and saw some of the evidence, I thought, "This is amazing. This is incredible." So, we live in a world where usually it's the other way around, where someone's being pushed aside based upon what their column or their label or tag is, and it goes both ways. So I was just happy in this case that quality, that, the actions that my friends and I took and who we became was strong enough to overcome their initial, disinterest in it, and, they're very happy with it after that. They thought amazing. They have commissioners. They don't have like we have, like, managers, and the
Mhm.
commissioners in the horror department and the paranormal department said, "This is gold," and that's how it transpired.
Wow. Okay. So it was a quite a lengthy process because 2021, I mean, middle of COVID,
Yes.
we're
We're going on 5
2026
years
and
now almost. It'll be
wow.
5 years next month, that's how long it took. We didn't film our interviews until 2023, which is 2 years after the initial, scoping out and everything you see on television has to be scripted, it has to be. It has to
Of
meet the
course.
censors' needs and their people who sponsor it, their needs, has to be able to have a flow to it that people will like beyond just the paranormal genre, and so it takes a long time, and part of that's tough for someone like myself who is not a fiction writer, I'm not an actor. These are our lives, myself and Craig and Beth and Judy and Linda and all of us. We're real people, Father Charlie. And, when they came back with some of the scripting, I thought, "Ooh, this is not good." And so there was some pushback. We had to have a pushback on that. And, there's always this urge, I think, to portray the people going through these, events as being depressed and alone and sad in the basement looking for some revenge against the world, some way to even things out. I Nothing like that for me. I was happy, I was healthy, I was popular, I was just living a wonderful life until this thing happened. It kind of broke the norm, and I said to them, "Listen, but that's the reality of it. That's even more interesting. He didn't need to have this happen. He wasn't looking for that, and it still happened." I think it adds to credibility, and to their credit, they said, "Yes, we agree with you," and they went with this Stand By Me, type of approach where the movie Stand By Me, remember the song? Dun, 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 right?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
It's about young kids going on the railroad tracks looking for a body. But in that search for the body, it becomes secondary. They learn about themselves as people. They grow friendships and develop their personalities. And so, to their credit, Mark Lewis, Melissa McClain, Kelly Nobe, they said, "Look at these people. Look at Jeff and look at Craig and Chris and Linda. They got this friendship. Let's focus on that." And so you'll see in the episodes, if they haven't watched it yet, there's an emphasis on each person and where they came from. I love that.
I do too. It made you very relatable, and
Right.
it reminded me, of the viewer, that y'all are real people.
Right. That's true. That's yes.
Yeah, and I told you it resonated with me because in 2022, I bought a haunted house unknowingly, and my experience was very similar to yours in some ways, where you feeling crazy, people are doubting you, you feel like you're questioning your own sanity at
Yes.
certain times, and it's exhausting when
It is.
you're living in it.
That's right. People who luckily haven't gone through anything like that don't understand it's not just a physical toll, it's also an emotional toll. When your
Mhm.
mind is tired, it's hard to think properly and to, overcome these physical challenges as well.
Yeah. So I know you interviewed with a few of my friends, and I watched part of the interviews, but I wanted to have, my genuine reaction. So I didn't want to
Sure.
ruin everything. But I did hear that you did have some encounters when you were younger.
Yeah, that's true, that's true. It's funny, a lot of times as a child, you forget things, then you look at an old photo album or you talk to an aunt and said, "Remember that?" "Oh, I remember that, that's right." That you put things in files in the back of your head. I have an accordion file, I'm old, I have no, like, floppy disk or anything like that, but, we put things away, and, I remember, as a young kid, my mom told me that I sometimes knew things. She said that on one occasion, I said to my mom, I must have been 4 or 5, "Dad was at work, he fell down, he tore his pants by his knee." And she's like, "He wouldn't fall down, what are you saying that for?" And then he came home after the afternoon, he tore his pants by his knee, and I would say things like, "Oh, grandma's gonna call." She's like, "Okay, I don't think she's gonna call today," and then the phone would ring. Okay, interesting child, and, she didn't want to dwell on it, she didn't wanna make me feel as though I was different, it would stand out. I was the kinda kid I wanted to just fit in. We
Right.
lived at the time in, Queens, New York, and that was a very heavy Jewish population, and it warred against, an African American population, and I remember, I wanted to fit in, and I wanted to get a menorah, so I cried, and my parents got a menorah for us, even though we're Christian, just so I have a blue lights in the window to fit in with everybody else, and then I always tried to find different people and learn who they were and learn about them so I could also be a part of the group. I never wanted to stand out, and, that's one of the things that made the whole ghost boy label, difficult for me because it really made me stand out. It separated me from others, that, well, here we are, and over there's the ghost boy. He does these things, and here's what his story is, and I didn't like, being labeled in that way. Now I accept it because people recognize the events with me in that type of understanding, but at the time, it was just devastating.
Yep, as you wear a ghost boy hoodie. Ghost boy,
Yeah, see that? I've
right
learned
here.
to embrace it.
That's right.
People I go to the shopping at the store, out in the places, and people say, "You look familiar. Were you on the" it wasn't the milk carton, no, it's, and then "Oh, that's right, the Netflix guy, yeah, yeah." So, that's how they do it. So this
Well,
it
that's
helps them
fair.
along, and then we have a conversation, we exchange tips about what produce to get, and then back to my car.
That's awesome. I can relate to that as well because I used to work for the federal court system and I like to be invisible. So I
Right,
was behind the scenes for a long time and nobody knew me except by my name, my email. And then
right,
I went into the courtroom and I was sitting in front of the judge and I was front and center whether I liked it or not. And it was
right.
like, mm-mm.
Yes. Good
But
morning.
I did it for a long time. I got used to it. And now here I am. I put myself out on YouTube and I'm like, hey, I like ghosts.
It's a cool process.
It is. It is. So 1984, 1985. So did you start in 84, college in 84?
No, it was my sophomore year. The first year at college, nothing happened, and I liked it that way, it was just to be around. MTV came out, "I want my
Yeah.
MTV." Oh, the music videos was amazing. The Eurythmics and, just great stuff to see. And at the time in this country, not to get too political, the president, Reagan, he won all but 1 state, 49 states. It was like electoral sweep. It was like 5-11 to I think Mondale won his home state at one point. So, we weren't like, now we're very fractured now. We're very left and we're
Yeah.
right. You're either a Nazi or a fascist or a communist or whatever you are. People don't talk anymore. But back in those days, there was a feeling of patriotism that we had survived World War II, that we had gotten through the baby boom and the really communications age. There was the music brought us together. It was just a nice time, to be alive. We had Olympic Games held in Los Angeles that year and people chanting USA in a very positive way. Just it felt like a nice time to be there, You had We Are the World, people singing songs to raise awareness and get resources for people who had less than we had, and just I loved every second of it. It just was a wonderful time to be alive and healthy, and I was a nationally ranked runner. I was running 10, 15 miles a day, so a wonderful time. I had no clue my 2nd year that would happen. There should have been a precursor. My friend Paul, we were running laps around the track above the ice rink in Geneseo, and he said, "How about next year we room together?" I said, "Okay, so I'll get the room, no problem." I said to him. We got Erie Hall. I should have known. There's a picture of me pointing, look like Erie. It's like, add one more E onto that, it's perfect. And it wasn't until, a few months into my sophomore year where things really became unhinged. And so part of the storyline in the Netflix show is that the stress of college, but there was no stress of college. I made the dean's list the year before that. I made varsity team for cross country. Had a cartoon strip in the newspaper. I was happy. I was popular. And just things aside from the Warren lecture kind of came out of just thin air, and I could not have expected it. Jeff had said to me, we were eating lunch at dining hall. Hey, there are people coming to this college. Their names are Ed and Lorraine Warren. They're demonologists. You want to go? I said, no. What do I want to go to that for? But it was free. And I figured just it's a free event, and, it was a fascinating presentation. I have to tell you, I didn't believe in what they were selling because I was a science-minded person. And Lorraine and I often say this, Lorraine was talking about how like attracts like, and I said to Jeff, I turned to him, I said, "No, no, it doesn't. If you give me 2 magnets, like poles repel. It doesn't work that way." But as she spoke, I began to realize she's talking about something beyond science or something different. And she was making some fairly cogent points. And I have to say, the EVPs they played, they sounded wrong, but different. Not, not high quality, just in that respect, but just they were high quality, but they sounded like didn't make any sense. What am I hearing? It didn't sound like it was natural. They kinda freaked me out, the EVPs. And then showed these slides, these still images of all these famous hauntings and ghosts, and there was one that unsettled me. There's a photograph supposedly of a woman sitting in a car at her own funeral. It's like, oof. So that made me think, maybe there's something to this. I just do not wanna recognize as a person. I wanna put it in the back of my head and lock it away, but she unlocked some of that stuff, and I can tell you that whether or not people believed her or not, she did. She believed her I mean, look at her eyes, her expression, her mouth, what she was sharing with us, she believed. And, that can be eye-opening because, wait a second, she's not even putting us on. This is not like Stranger Things. This is not like, Guardians of the Galaxy. This is real. And she's up on a stage, and I told Jeff I could never do that. I could never get up on some public place and talk about ghosts. And lo and behold, like Lorraine Warren, that's all I do now, it seems, so
Here we are.
yes.
Yeah. My husband is very science brained
Yes.
and he's very skeptical. And when we were going through our experience, we were, I mean, just because he wasn't experiencing it like I was.
Right.
And we weren't talking to the kids because the kids were little. We were
No,
trying to protect them.
you're right. Makes me fearful to sleep, right?
Yeah. And we went round and round and it was horrible, but I always tell people because people share their stories with my podcast so I can read them on episodes. And I always tell my husband, I always tell people, I believe them because for them, whether you can prove it or not, it is very real. It is very real.
Yeah.
And who am I to discount them?
Yeah. It's like love. I mean, sometimes people fall in love, you're like, "What? What does she see in him?" Or vice versa. But that's love, and love is not based on logic. Love is based on emotion. It's based on your feels. And I think that in spite of the risk of having a breakup or a divorce or something happening like that effect, we still take the risk often because we want to be with somebody who likes who we are, who enjoys our
Mhm,
company, who makes us feel happy just to be around them. And I think it's a human instinct to find that type of affection,
mhm,
and positivity in our lives. So we take the risks for hopefully the good result. And I think that's not much different than, say, the, idea of the paranormal because you experience it, it feels true to you, so something is going on. And I remember lying on that bathroom floor, after that
ugh,
attack in the shower, thinking to myself, I can't keep doing this. I'm not going to make it." And I didn't know how to explain to people or to myself what was going on. And after that shower attack, as I'm lying on the floor, the first thing I did was I smoothed my face out. No bad expression. So I thought was my mother gave up college to have me, gave up all her dreams to have me. Here I was a teenager on the floor of a bathroom, bloody dying in college. I thought, oh, my poor mom. Give up everything and now I'm gone. At least I can do for her as a gift is to have a calm face so she can believe I went out peacefully and not in some kind of horrific moment. That's the first thing I thought of my mom. And, as I'm lying there, because I couldn't move either because of the pain or the pressure or the cold, but whatever it was, I could not move. I'm just lying on that bathroom floor. And I remember I could see hanging off of my left wrist was a droplet, a pear-shaped bead of water from having been in the shower. And I just looked at that and it was shining. It was beautiful. It's like, wow, this is beautiful. And then I noticed that in the droplet, I could see the room, reflection of the room inverted. I'm like, oh, refraction. Water refracts light. That's science. I'm just looking at this beautiful, sparkling piece of water, and then it falls. I'm like, "Oh, my water." I'm like, "Well, wait a second. Why would it fall?" It's like that Tom Hanks thing with the soccer ball, right? "Well
mhm.
said." It's
Oh,
soccer ball, but you're
not
still
the
crying away
water
because
droplet.
right, yeah, it's like, "What am I crying for? This is a movie. It's not real. I'm crying at a whatever." But in that moment, it fall. Okay, you know what that is? That's gravity. It fell because gravity pulled it down. I looked down by my face, and the gravity from the tile was darkened from the moisture. So I'm thinking, "Okay, refraction, right? We have gravity, we have moisture. Science is working. It's the real world. I'm not asleep. I'm not in some alternate reality. But then what is happening? I can't keep doing this. I was ready to give up. And that's when Jeff pulled open the door and I felt the warm air coming over my heels. It was dry. And I heard his feet on the floor from the water. And he's yelling to me something like, "Chris, are you okay? What happened?" And next thing I know, he's putting a towel around me and we're going down to his room. And Ed is in there. Ed's not in the show, but Ed is in there. And he's like, "Oh my God, what happened to your back?" And then Linda and Beth come running in and they're saying, "We're going to the hospital. We're going to the hospital right now. You're bleeding everywhere." So I'm not going to the hospital. My fear was that if they saw this, they think I'm self-harming. They would sedate me, drug me up. They may put a straitjacket. Who knew? It's the 80s, you know? And if I couldn't escape from that thing, it'd find me. I don't want it to find me. I couldn't allow myself to be caged or limited to one spot. By then, I was sleeping in different rooms every night to move, so it couldn't find me right away. That's the level of terror that we had. And so I realized it's intervention. They're all around me saying, "We're going to the hospital." I'm like, "No, I'll fight you. I'm not gonna go." I thought, "Oh my gosh, I'm that guy." I'm the guy on the TV show you feel bad for because he doesn't understand. They're just trying to help him, but he can't see it. But I did understand. They wanted me to get attention for the medical, the wounds, the possible infection, the bleeding. I need stitches probably, it's how deep the wounds were. But at the same time, they didn't understand what I was going through. I couldn't allow it to control and possess me. So I had to find a way to make their lens and my lens come together. How do I communicate beyond the trauma? And I realized something. Okay, how I realized. Okay, I yelled out, "Listen, get some peroxide, some cotton swabs, and bandages. This way, they can take care of my physical needs temporarily. I don't have to go to the hospital, and I can still stay." So for 47 minutes, it was peroxide and cotton swab, on the wound, bandage. For 47 minutes, and I sat in my room for a couple of days with no shirt because they started to pull the bandages off my back. I pulled it on and off, and sat there like this, shivering in the room with no shirt for a few days until my back began to heal a little bit. So I had to work through their lens and my lens, and luckily I was smart enough or lucky enough in that moment as a teenager to understand, here's how you do that. Whew. So I was this problem solver. I ran marathons since I was 14 years of age. Marathon's 26 miles, 42 kilometers. You can't just not practice. You have to train. You have to carb load before. You put your splits on your arm. You have to pace yourself. It's a long and grinding ordeal. So I knew how to run through stitches, all that. So I used that skill set my dad helped to hone in me as a runner to survive those moments.
Was that the first thing that happened that you were like, "Oh my god, this is real," or did something before that happen that really
Oh
made
yeah,
you
but that
realize
by
that?
that time, no, that was way into the haunting. That was right That was right after the priest had blessed the room, so we're talking about a month after. The first thing I noticed was a whispering voice, someone calling my name, just incessantly, would not stop. "Chris, Chris," like,
Mm.
"Open the door, I'm in my room. What do you need? Hello? I'm working on a paper, open the door, just it's not locked." Over and over, I'd go to the hallway, and no one's there, and I lock the door, I put headphones on. I'd hear it in headphones, like, showing the Netflix, like, "What is going on?" So I knew something was happening, but my thought was there were drugs in my food or a gas leak in the room, a practical joke, mass hysteria, hallucinations. I looked SAD, I looked for some causality I could pinpoint and find a cure for, and nothing matched up. When the following night, I saw the thing in my room standing there, and at the time, I was eating the hot tamales. Product placement. I was eating these things, just cinnamon flavor. I'm like, "Oh my god," and I threw the candy in the air, and I ran to the room when I saw it. It wasn't until the following evening when Paul said, "There's something in here." So, "What do you see?" And described the thing with tilted neck. Then I knew he was seeing what I was seeing, so that was the first time I realized it was external, which at first I'm happy about. I'm not going crazy. Yes, I thought, "Wait, there's a dead thing in the room. It's probably worse, isn't it?" And so my momentary fit of joy real quickly went to dread, like, "This is worse. If it's in my head, just give me some counseling, give me a pill. If it's out there, then what do I do?" So it's far worse than I'd hoped for.
Mm. And they didn't believe you other than Paul. They didn't
Well, it's
believe you
hard
at
to.
first.
I wouldn't have believed it at the time. It's okay, yeah. But then you look back and you think about humanity. If we were to go back in time, say 150 years, Abraham Lincoln time, 1860s, 1880s, 1900, turn of the century, and someone said to you, "There's something out there, and you can't see it or smell it or hear or touch it, but it can kill you." You'd be like, "Woo, germs." You can't
Mm,
see those things. So it's just a matter of if you really think about it, as human beings, we're still learning about this planet. We're still learning after all the millions of years what is going on. So I I I always hesitate to judge people who are closed-minded and say, "Oh, he's crazy. He made it all up, wants some money." That's where they are now. Let them stay there until they have that experience, because I would have been there too as a teenager. But having gone through it, it raises my awareness level, people who struggle silently, people who go through things I don't
yes.
know about, quite something through cancer or divorce or depression or bankruptcy, things you don't see, they don't tell you, and you just judge, "Oh, they're just lazy." No, they're dyslexic, they can't read properly, they need your help, not your scorn. And so those moments help me be a better teacher, I think.
Oh, I love that. I know the first episode, we were like my husband and I were like, Which because all the people were coming, all your friends were interviewing, and we were like, that's not him. Is he did he make it?
'Cause he died,
Is he
right?
okay?" And
Yeah.
then there you were, and I was like, "He's here!"
My own son looked at me and goes, "Are you here? Did you die, Dad? Because I don't." It's been like he's like, "I'm a little worried now. You're gonna disappear. I believe you're here. This I that you're disappearing. I don't believe you anymore." But yeah, they one of the things that television does, especially successful television, is they build drama or suspense. If
Mhm.
nothing happens, you're like, turn the channel. So they need to build a sense that wait for it. And that was pretty cool. They had the clipboard there, clicking things like that. They did a nice job of really drawing it out to say, I hope Chris is okay. Don't
Yes,
know if he is, so that when I actually do waddle onto the stage, it's kinda like, "Oh, okay, good, he's there."
there
So
he
it's kind of a
is.
cool thing.
It got us because I was sitting there and how we watch TV, especially something a little spooky. I'm trying to like distract my brain and do
Yes.
other things. So the names, there were so many names being thrown around, and I was like, this doesn't look like the character, but maybe
Nope.
that's him. Maybe that's him. And then there you were, and I was like, oh,
Oh, that's the guy.
there he is. It was good. They did a good job on that.
Yeah, we are very
So
lucky with that.
was it difficult to relive that so publicly?
It's, I talk about this a lot now, it's been 4 decades, so I'm not uncomfortable speaking about it with you, for example, or, like a friend. It's different, though, when it's being recorded and saved for, like, 9,000,000 people to see. And you don't know what the edit's gonna do. Editors will change things around and put words together, and they could reshape events. You don't have a necessarily friendly audience. If I go to speak at an event, it's people who wanna hear about the ghosts, who wanna hear about the paranormal. It's a friendly audience. Going across the globe, you get people who are very antagonistic towards the whole concept. So there's a risk involved, and that risk is that I can be redefined. No matter who I am, what I've done for the past, 50, 60 years of my life, it's washed away, overshadowed within that first minute or 2 of it showing on Netflix. That's the reach it has, so I recognize that I'm putting my trust in these people's hands. I
Yeah.
hope they don't destroy us. I hope they do not make us all like we're cartoon characters or that we're pitiful, pitiful humans, but they kept their word and they created a tapestry of friendship, that shows Jeff with the paper route, surviving that, and his interest in ghosts, and Linda with her July 4th incident at the camp, and
Oh, I
lot of things
know.
happened, so it really honored my friends, and I'm thrilled with it. Um, and I think it's a relief now to be able to not have to talk about it all the time every day because now people can turn on Netflix and watch that and have the basic core questions already answered in their mind. I don't have to start in step 1 and talk for 17 hours about this. I can just hit off what they've seen now, and it's a relief. At first, I didn't talk about it ever. My best friend didn't know what happened to me. My kids didn't know what happened to me. I didn't tell anybody. A lot of people that knew people that were in those moments, and we kind of went our separate ways for a while just to, heal up, I think. And I remember my own children; they didn't know. It wasn't until 2012. So you're talking 27 years later. I did a sci-fi episode, School Spirits, and my son looked at me, goes, "Oh my God, Dad, that happened to you?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Now I get it." I would always tell my children nighttime bed stories, about, like, dragons or princesses or castles or scientists or planets, but in those little fairy tales, my actions were in there, what happened to me, the challenges. I don't want them to be the had the burden of being the ghost boy's child and having to have to suffer under my past and be prone to it, or be ignorant like I was and have no knowledge. So I weave these little fairy tales together for them at nighttime for bed, where they can problem solve without being burdened by it. So he goes, "Oh my gosh, that story, this story," all the things I told him were like, then I knew. My best friend Phil, he went to all these conventions, he watched TV shows, then we're playing ball on the weekend, playing ball on Sunday, and he goes, "What? That's you? I've known you for 20 years. You know I love this stuff. I go to the museums and I go to the places where they have the ghost hunts and I collect this." What? So I didn't want people to know. I wanted them to like me for who I am. I
Right.
wanted people to like me as Chris and not as that. And you know what's fascinating about that? It stems from, the college experience of the haunting because after that shower attack, there were gashes on my back. We had these 3 gashes on my back. They went from my shoulder down to about my hip on my right side, kinda like this. And it was 3, not 5 like a hand would be, but anyway, Jeff Jeff said in his room, he goes, "Listen, the natural light is fading. I wanna get a picture of the scratches before we lose that light." That's by the window in his room. I said, "No. "Don't take that picture." He goes, "What are you talking about? This is incredible evidence. You have a gashes down your back. This is great for what we need to analyze and to share." I'm like, "No, no, no. If you're my friend, you will not take that picture." He goes, "I don't understand." "Jeff, please. If you're my friend, you won't take it." Because in my mind, I don't wanna be ghost boy, a specimen, experiment. I wanted someone to like me for who I am, Chris. I need you to know there's one person on the planet who cared about me first, ghost boy second. And he said, "I won't take it." He put his camera down. And all these years later, I regret that now that I said that. They listened to me because 'cause it'd been great to show people that. But in that moment, just being real, I didn't want that. I wanted him to like me first. That's the human story right there. That person doesn't exist in that moment because I didn't want it to. And people say, "Why would you do that? What is wrong with you?" Here's why. If you think that the person you love the most in the world is cheating on you, if they're having an affair, you can hire someone to follow them around, a detective, and see where they're going. But what happens if you do that? The person comes back and says, "Here's your envelope." Puts the envelope on your desk. What's that? That's your proof. That's my proof. So I can open the envelope. I can see my wife, my girlfriend, my boyfriend in there with somebody else. Is it my friend they're with? Are they happy? Is it my bed? Was it yesterday? So I don't know. Sometimes you don't want proof if you're trying to escape from a horrible situation. No one has been beaten by their boyfriend or girlfriend to a pulp wants to see the pictures of that. They want to move beyond that. So for me, I was not investigating. I was surviving a horror. And so if that helps to for your viewers and your listeners to put a mindset on that, I didn't want it because I didn't want to be reminded of the bad things that happened to me.
I get that. I get that exactly. Because once something like that, then it's real.
Yeah. And in my mind too, the more I thought about it, the more proof there was, the more evidence, the more I bought into it, the more I was subject to it, the more I was a victim to the whole mentality of, of being in this moment. I want to escape the moment somehow, some way. We talked to parapsych professor of psychology, Dr. Lawrence Kessler about the recording the tapes, talked to Father Charlie about the blessing, my father. I went to people, I went to adults in all different fields in science and home life and religion to try to help me with the haunting. It's not all in the show. You can't put 90 days of nonstop movement into an hour and 40 minutes, but they did a great job. But still, there are things that are in there that really show the effort that we all made to get help with this. It was no joke.
So when your dad came, that was a very powerful scene for me. You did
Yes.
not tell him what was going on. He just knew something was wrong, right?
Yeah, he knew that I was a good kid. I was an A student. I was a great athlete. I made my bed in the morning. I took my vitamins in the morning. I dressed properly. I didn't swear. I didn't drink. I was a good kid. And I was pretty independent once he got me running. And so for me to call and say, "Dad, I know it's happening, but it's real. Something's wrong." He didn't know if it was cult activity, if it was drug abuse, if I was being kidnapped, if I was a mental breakdown, but he knew for me to call him and ask for his help, that something was legit. I still don't do that. I give up. "Just ask for help." "No, no, no, I don't wanna ask for help. I don't bother you." I'm fiercely independent, fiercely to a fault.
I get
And so
that.
when I called, he knew something was up, and so he made that 5-hour drive in 4 hours. It's funny, my sister was angry at me for years. I'm like, "Why are you angry at me?" She finally told me. It was her junior prom night. Supposed to go to the prom. Her dad's supposed to drive her to the prom. He left to go see me in college. I never knew that. I'm like, "I'm sorry, I didn't know." In other words, he was so unnerved by the fact that I was calling in that state of, like sadness and franticness that he forgot to drive my sister to her prom, her biggest day of her year. Like, "What?" But that shows you the impact that my asking for help had on him, and when he got there, it was nice. He wasn't as tall as I was, but I passed him in height by then. But he's my dad, and he raised me, taught me to count and to run and to problem solve and about history and about, growing up being a good person. So to have him there was like a rock. I just loved it. I felt like a small child in a good way. And he got there and I actually slept. My dad by my side, I slept and it felt so good.
It was a powerful scene. It
Yeah.
was yeah, it was very good. I remember when my hauntings in my house were getting kinda my ghost lived in the house. He built the house, and he died
Oh,
in the house.
right.
And he wasn't a fan of women, and especially strong-willed women,
Huh.
and he did not like me, and he was trying to force us out. And it was very overwhelming being sensitive and
Right.
seeing things and hearing things and feeling things very much deeper than anybody else in the house was feeling them. And I remember I reached out to my mom because I'm like, "What do you do?" And my mom's never doubted me in all the years that I've had weird dreams or anything like that. She's never doubted me, never made me feel stupid or crazy. And she just showed up one day and gave me holy water. And she's like, "Bless your
Yeah.
house."
That's good.
Their support is incredible. And hey, mom,
It is.
she's my listener. She listens every week. Actually, she watches on YouTube now. Say hi, mom.
That's a beautiful thing. People tend to criticize fast and, "Well, wait a second, he's gonna go there and spend the night in the field and see something, then leave the next day." I wanna say 2 things about that, if you don't mind. The first thing is, he loved me enough to get up there in the first place. But he
Absolutely,
knew he couldn't stop what was happening, and he said to me, "Change your room, get out of that place, you don't wanna stay there." The problem was it's not really feasible. You can't, middle of the school year, just change your room like that, and if I did that, what if people who were there after me, they get attacked? So, I was afraid, I'd be even worse. I felt more guilt on my conscience. Yeah, the priest was fascinating, Father Charles Manning. He was a fascinating individual. I really thank him for taking the time to believe us and to do the blessing. He put the oil on our forehead. He used this book, it's called Pastoral Care of the Sick. He used that
okay.
book to read from as he, was doing his blessing. I thought it was exorcism, but he said, "That's not what it is. Exorcism is it's in you, that's not in you. We did a blessing to put the ghost at ease and you too." And it was really cool. I was able to find even the sections that he read. So I think that's really cool what he said. He read this. Am I read it real quick? It takes like 15 seconds. He said,
Absolutely.
this is what he said. He said, "Lord Jesus Christ, you chose to share human nature, to redeem all people, and to heal the sick. Look with compassion upon your servant Christopher, whom we have anointed in your name with the holy oil, for the healing of his body and his spirit. Support him with your power, support him with your protection, and give him strength to fight against evil." And I thought that was pretty cool.
That is very cool.
That's kinda nice thing, like, ooh. And I didn't know if I wash it off or not. How does that work? You get oil on your forehead from a priest for a blessing. What do you do? I think I just washed it off in the shower. I didn't
Yeah.
know I was supposed to save that. I don't know how it works.
Never wash your forehead ever again.
Right, I have to do that, I don't know, okay, does that protect me or not? Is that symbolic? So, I don't know, I had no understanding of these things, so I kept it on for a couple of days, just watched on my face, but then eventually took a shower, it was gone, so.
Yeah, that was also very powerful because he looked like it freaked him out too.
He was yeah, he was freaked out, he definitely was. See, he was a young guy too. I thought you see the movies, the priest's like 75 with, like, straight white hair, and he's bony and thin, and in the name of Jesus, like, and he was like some guy, he's like 30 some odd years old, like, doo doo, like he played rugby and things, like, that's not what I expected, and I misjudged him again, and we sometimes he was brilliant. He came that evening to fix the stereo. He had read that in the notes that the ghost came out of the stereo that Paul had in the room, and so he couldn't do a ceremony on secular grounds, so he told the person at the door to get in. He's a stereo repairman fixing my stereo in my room. That's how he got in. What I talked about. So they didn't know what was
Clever.
going on. That was a brilliant man, and then when he was done with the blessing, I asked him, "Am I okay? Are we good?" He said, "Well, as long as you don't invite it back in, you're okay." I said, "Okay, we're good then." So that was kinda neat, and then right after you did that, things stopped. No, there was no flashing clocks, no voices, no shadows across the wall, no things flying across the room, no frozen temperatures. It was great. So whatever he did, whether it was his prayer, the verse he did, the anointing, whatever he did was something I could not do, and I was so happy about it.
Did it stop after he came in?
Well, it stopped in the room. He blessed that room and I had a safe spot, but the problem was, indirectly, that the ghost still wanted me. Wanted my
Right.
attention, so it began to attack my friends. It
Yeah.
attacked
That's
Linda,
right.
so I have to go to Linda, to go to him. It attacked Beth, I had to go to her. It went after so it went after all these people, it outsmarted me again, and so I got the safe zone, and it attacked me in the shower across from the room. Get angry, so like, "How dare you? You're not gonna win this." In other words, what gave me a little safe hub, however that worked, actually became a negative thing because that was angry at me now for pushing it away. It wanted to be around and be near me, and I kept saying no, and it got very angry about that.
That connection between you and the spirit
Yeah.
blew my mind.
Yes, yes.
Now, I have a question, and I was trying to explain it to my husband last night because I was like,
Yeah.
tell me if this is a dumb question. So I was watching Tommy's on Let's Get Freaky's podcast.
Yes.
And you talked about seeing your grandfather after he passed away, or maybe great grandfather when you were very young.
Right, that's right.
And then on Netflix, you talk about how Tommy the ghost or the spirit was found by your ancestors
That's right.
and buried him.
Yes.
Was this is sorry, I'm gonna like trying to like piece it together in my head. The grandfather you saw, was that on the same side of the family that buried Tommy?
No. Isn't
It
that
wasn't
funny?
it?
It's not, no, my great-grandfather died when I was 11 years old, and he was just a cool person. I love the guy, just he just they don't make him like him anymore, just I can't explain it. Salt of the earth.
Yeah.
And when he passed away, I was sad. He got sick in the hospital. We went to see him right before some of his doctors must have told my parents that he's going, so we went to see him, and then there was a smell in the whole wing of the hospital. It was terrible, and I went, "Oh, what's that smell?" I'm 11, real loud. I think that's when I met my grandpa, and so they said, "Stop, stop that," and I had to leave the room. So I never said goodbye to him. I remember on the way home in the car crying, like, "I'm sorry, grandpa. I'm sorry. I just want to tell you I love you, and I didn't get a chance to do that. I'm so sorry. I wish I can go back and do it all over again." I was crying the whole way home because I couldn't say goodbye. Well, about 6 months later, I was in the springtime, I was hitting a ball at my grandparents' house. He was my great-grandfather, and I went to get the ball, and I bent down and picked it up, and there he was, looking right as a ghost right in front of me. He went I'm like, so he said goodbye to me. In other words, 6 months later, he said goodbye to me, and he went, "Say nothing. Say nothing." So, that was it. I kept it a secret for till college time. I told nobody that that happened to me because that was our bond. But now that, I'm ghost boy and people wanna know what the some of the moments was the first time I saw that. But that's the other side. My mom's side of the family is where that all happened. So, it's on both sides. My dad's side, um my dad's mother's mom was a snake charmer, a fortune teller, a tarot card reader in the circus all through New
Wow.
York. She went the circus travel around, and her mother was a tarot card reader. People came from Philadelphia to have her read their cards, in Chicago, these wooden tarot cards. On my mom's side, it's even more strange, with all the folks who found the body of Thomas Boyd, then there's an ancestor 4 generations back who was having an affair with James Buchanan, the president, and then his fiancée committed suicide, he never got married again, and she was burned at a fire, and they saw her ghost running through the streets of
Oh
where's that
my.
club? It's in Pennsylvania, Harrisburg. So it's just crazy, it goes on both sides, but I didn't know as a kid, we didn't talk about those things. I didn't know until I got back from college and shared my experience with my family, immediate family, I found all these things out. I had no idea that on both sides of my family, both lines, there was these incredible, amazing family lores and legends that go all the way back. But yeah, I didn't know about the whole Thomas Boyd connection until some 20 years later. So then they compress everything in the Netflix show. So we found out much later that that was the connection
Wow.
that was made. But yeah, my ancestors found Thomas Boyd's body all mangled up, and they buried him in the ground. And when I it's just a fascinating thing. When I spoke to the ghost the last time, not in the Netflix show, I asked, "Where are you from?" He said, "Danville," and it turns out that Danville's in Pennsylvania where my relatives and where he was from. So
Oh.
when that matched up, I'm like, "Okay." When I talked to the ghost, he says the area. Thomas Boyd's from the area. I called him Tommy. His name was Thomas. It's click, click, click. The wounds I saw, oh, it's like boom, 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 boom. And I have to tell you the truth that finding out who that was as shocking as the haunting itself.
Oh, I bet.
As shocking, although it was 20 years later.
Wow. I bet it made you, like, relive it all over again just in that moment, like,
I
just
The connections are crazy, and it blows my mind because I go back and forth between free will and the idea of things being meant to be, things that are preordained.
right.
People say, "Well, it's meant to be. It's love at first sight. Things go in threes. It's mount That's what God's will is." And somebody dies of cancer, some baby. I'm like, "What?" So I never can put the 2 together. It's like, how does that work? So do we have free will and then we make these choices, or do we have the illusion of free will because here I am all these years later and I run by the tree where the thing was killed. Like, what? I don't know sometimes in my head. Where's the middle balance between predeterminism and free will? Is there a balance? Is it a little of both? And if it is over here, something that's supposed to happen, who chooses that? And how are you chosen? And is that random or is that preordained? And it's mind-blowing.
Was what so it happened in Erie Hall. Were there hauntings in Erie Hall before you, or this was just strictly related to you?
Not to my knowledge. There were stories about a little boy ghost in Monroe Hall down the block a little bit, and I heard something about a floating shirt or something like that in this U-Haul, but, nothing. It just I don't know, I pay attention to that stuff, that was silly. So, but no, this became the haunting, and when Ed and Lorraine Warren came to the campus to talk, they went on a ghost hunt. They went on a little tour of the college, and, I didn't wanna go because I was thrown off the stage. That was not cool, and I was angry at them for embarrassing me. Like, "What the
Right.
heck? I didn't do anything." So Jeff and I went back to the room to talk about what happened with Lorraine. Jeff had all these questions to ask Ed and Lorraine. He wrote all these questions down. We're listening. That's all he wanted to do, and like wouldn't shake my hand. And I got tossed on the stage. He's like, "What?" So he just plan B, and he wanted to see what was going on. Why would she do that with you? Why would she react that way? Tell me more about you, Chris. He was more, why would that happen? So we didn't go on that thing. But there's a person named Dominic, a student named Dominic, who was there. They went to his dorm, and Dominic claimed that there was activity in his room, um, where things would fly around the room and things like that once in a while. And he said that no one told her anything, and she went to his dorm, down the hall, down the steps, around the corner to his room and said, "Here, something's in here." He goes, "Oh my god." And he said to her, "Yes, this is where activity is happening. How did you?" So he was amazed by that. So that's, but remember, I was also trying to keep things secret. I didn't want to tell anybody anything. So there are people who lived in my dorm didn't know anything about it. I got written up a couple of times for noise violations. We said we're partying, because I don't want to tell them there's a ghost around. It's just, and I was a good kid, so I didn't want to have my name soiled. I don't want people to think I was doing drugs. I don't want people to think I was crazy. I wanted to just be I wanted to fit in, and this ghost thing made it very, very difficult when I'm running down the hallway in my underwear, at 2 o'clock in the morning screaming, it just makes it very difficult and normal doing that.
I bet. Yeah.
So,
Yep. You're not invisible anymore. You are very much
yeah,
front and center.
I would sleep by the vending machines. They did that in the show, Netflix show with the cans, a very good job because the vending machine every 15 minutes would kick on with the cooling device that would make the soda stays cool. So I knew every 15 minutes, it'd go, I'd wake up and look around, make sure I was safe. So I love that as a built-in alarm clock, so I'd sleep by the vending machine a couple times a week, and I thought it was a pretty smart thing to do. This way I wouldn't get a deep sleep and it'd get me.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is amazing.
yeah,
Just
that's fine.
it was I watching it, I was like, "I understand this so much, more than I should probably."
I'm
We
glad
lived
that
in it for
you
2
understand it.
years,
Yeah.
so it was I don't live there anymore. I sold the house, but it wasn't because it was haunted.
No, I
So,
I commend you for that. You had something happen to you, you tried to solve it and examine it, now you speak about it, so it's nice. You took a negative, made it a positive.
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't like people feeling alone in this, and I think it can be very isolating when
Yes,
you're living in it.
absolutely.
So, that it really I will say, and I know you talked to so many people, but I just want you to know that your story, I'm so glad you shared it because even though I do this and I've been doing this for a few years, it really is nice seeing it and knowing that there are real experiences that happen to people.
Right.
They are life changing.
Yes.
All the things that I was feeling through it is what you were, what they were showing that you were feeling. And it's like, okay, okay, I'm not crazy.
Right.
I'm not losing my mind. What I felt was real, and I'm not alone. And I just love that. So thank you for sharing your story.
You're welcome, and especially, it's one thing if you're pursuing these things, you're going to a old abandoned warehouse, but once in your home where you sleep or you live, it's a whole different set of rules, and people
Mhm.
will say, "I'll just stage the place. I'll just talk to it. Say this is my bedroom," but it doesn't I wish it always worked that way. It doesn't. And everyone needs a place to feel safe at. You all need a place where you can just lay your head down and not feel being attacked or I mean, if you can you imagine, like, if I hope this doesn't happen to anybody that watches your podcast, but you wake up tonight and there's someone you don't know standing over you. You will never forget that as long as you live. Who is it? How'd they get in? Are they gonna harm me? What's happening? You call the co you'll never forget that. You'll lock your doors and windows twice every night for the next 20 years because it could happen again, and so that's a trauma that these things induce. I still have a light on in my room when I sleep at night. It's been 40 years. Nothing's happened like that in 40 years, but my mind tells me, "But listen, it happened once,
Mhm.
it can happen again."
Mhm.
It's hard to argue with that kind of logic because you can't rule it out. It's unfortunate that sometimes fear drives us. It's the fear that makes us better or makes us stronger because you don't want to fail. Especially as a parent now, you want to make sure you do everything you can, knowing you cannot fully protect your children. You do everything you want to do, but you just cannot feasibly do that. You hope the best is enough. Every day you
Yeah.
pray to get in the car that no one's drinking and driving. Every day they go off someplace. No one's dumb. You always hope for your child that they have happiness, and then you wonder when you pass on, will they be okay? And I wonder how that affects the psyche too, because everyone's different. I know, but I think for me, when it's time for me to go, I think, is everyone okay before I go? Check on her. I don't actually want to be a ghost, but maybe that will happen. Who can say, right?
That's true. Oh, yeah. Exactly. And watching my kids get older and, me getting older and then losing people. As you get older, you start to lose people.
Yes,
And
that's
it
true.
becomes mortality becomes front and center. And it's like, okay, am I teaching my children what they need to learn and what they need to know as they
Yeah,
age? And almost like preparing them to live without us. And it's
yeah.
oh god, I can't even I make myself cry all the time. I can't do that. We can't do this. It's early on a Saturday. We're not gonna cry today.
Well,
But I
that's
get
what Craig
exactly what
said
you're
in the
saying.
show. Remember at the end, he goes, "Well, no more dead people." And he's crying, So as 19-year-old kid, he didn't understand. Now he does, and he says, like, we have to carry this for rest of our lives. I think that sometimes if you live your life well, you get wiser, you get wise, and,
Mhm.
I think it helps, and there's the age-old thing, too bad that young people didn't have their health and the wisdom they have as an old person. You have your health when you're young and your wisdom when you're old, so I guess there's a benefit being both, but yeah, I think that as you live your life, you learn, and hopefully we can pass on what we've learned in a positive way to people around us so that they can learn the easy way and not the hard way.
Yeah. Or they just learn, they get thrust into it like we do and have to learn trial by fire.
Hey, Sarah, Sarah, yes.
Well, I s I'm eh I'm blown away, and I just want you to know that I've been looking forward to this, and I
Thank you.
really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me, and for my listeners, thank you so much, and I'm so glad you shared your story after
Thank
all
you.
these years.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me onto the show. It's a nice thing that people wanna hear my words. Many
Yeah.
people don't have that luxury. They're not heard in any way. So it's nice to be in a place now, although I think I've earned it, where I can
Oh,
actually
absolutely.
share some wisdom, share some insight, and hopefully help people get the tools they need to move beyond in a better way. I tell people at night, go to sleep, let your body rest up and heal in your mind. Eat food so you have nourishment in your body, and then write things down. Keep a journal of what's happening around you, and those things will help you through any crisis.
Absolutely. Words to live by.
Yes.
So, do y I know I follow you.
Sure.
If people want to come and follow along with you and your journey now, where can they find you?
I think I'm everywhere online. I think I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm on Reddit. That's pretty cool. Got karma
Ugh,
now on Reddit. Yeah,
Reddit's a
I'm
crazy
on
place.
X. Well, Reddit is the hardest place to be on because people are very strong-willed, and they get very aggressive, and they're very challenging. But as a teacher, as a former competitive runner, I like that, and I've now changed about 15 people from being very angry at me or very dismissive to being friendly with me. So it's a wonderful challenge. I don't take things personally. I'm a teacher, I get cursed at every
Right.
single day, so I don't take anything. And I'm really trying to soften their spirit and open their minds. There are smart people that have a different lens. I'm trying to bring our lenses together, like with the whole thing with the cuts on my back. I'm trying to bring people's lenses together. And so I'm on all the social medias. Facebook's the best one, probably. And I'll be out and about touring. I'll be going to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, New York. We'll see how the schedule plays out, but hopefully all over the country.
Very cool. Well, if you make it to South Carolina,
Yes, that would be cool.
yes, absolutely. We love our ghosts down here.
Yes, keep
Even though we're
them
in the
there.
Bible Belt, we
Keep
gotta
them right
kinda
down there.
yes, we're down here. It's funny because like, we're in the Bible Belt,
Yes.
and there's a lot of religion here, but
Yeah.
then anytime I'm like, "I have a paranormal podcast," everybody's like, "Something happened to me." I mean, it's amazing. It's incredible how
Yeah, I don't think that religion should have to be a polar opposite to what this is. It's a spirituality. It's talking about what happens to the soul. And I had a priest help me, which is religion. And science didn't help me with this, but faith did. Belief did. Human experience helped me with this. So I'm hoping that someday people understand that they're not opposing forces. We go to church, see the stained glass windows, and the light of the sun would go through and light the green and the purple on the people. It's like beautiful. I thought this is amazing. So there's nature, there's God's nature, and man-made, human-made windows working together to create beauty. So I really think that if we try hard, we can make beauty in this world.
I love that so much. That is a great way to end that. Thank you so much. Guys, go follow Chris. You can follow me while you're there. Ghost Gossip Podcast, Ghost Gossip Pod, Ghost Gossip 24/7 at gmail.com. And until next time, they'll see you later.
Gossip gather round where the lost and the haunted are found. Ghost gossip don't make a sound.